What's up, HyperFast Nation? On this episode of the show, I sat down with a fellow Naval Academy graduate. He's been in the real estate industry for over a decade. Started off in California, also was licensed in Colorado, did business for a number of years in Canada before going back to California to start G.I. Joe Homes. Welcome to the show, Joe Knipp. What's up? Welcome to the show today, Joe. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks, Dan. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to have you on today. You've got a ton of lessons that you can talk to people and tell them about your story as well. Tons of experience, like over a decade of experience. I think 400, almost $500 million, $400 million to 500 million, like $500 million in sales.
Yep.
Why don't you tell folks a little bit about yourself, what you were doing before real estate, and then how you decided to get into real estate and kind of what's transpired since?
Sure. No, I appreciate that. Well, like you, I'm a Naval Academy graduate, grade class of 2002. And then when I got out, I really wanted to kind of continue serving my community more than anything. And real estate seemed the best way to do that for me. And when I was coming back out into my hometown in San Carlos here in Northern California, where I'm from, just outside of San Francisco area, I wanted to specialize in helping people use the VA loan. Well, back, right in 2009-ish, 10, our market was a little bit challenging, but I was told essentially that you'll never be able to help anyone use the VA home loan in Northern California. That was kind of the attitude, right? It was crazy to me, and then as time kept going on, it almost, the messaging got stronger, and with caps on VA loan amounts up here just below 726, 525, when our market was kind of well over $1 million, it made it really tough. But still, my first transaction ever was to a West Point graduate. Actually, I met him at an open house, and literally bought a $1.3 million home and still maximize their VA loan. So it was sort of a funny one to me, being told that I'll never be able to help people use a VA home loan. And then, my first transaction in real estate over a decade ago was a VA loan. So I had to call kind of a little bit of BS on what everyone was saying. And then from then on out, I kind of explored different avenues in real estate. I've been licensed in Canada, Colorado, and then obviously here in California. But always came back to my passion of helping our military members maximize their VA loan. And over the years, actually specifically in 2019, founded G.I. Joe Homes to do just that. And the last 4 years have been an amazing ride of helping our fellow veterans get into homes and active duty here in NorCal.
Yeah, I think it's definitely great that military guys like you are able to give back, right, to current military people or people that served prior, that have this great tool, the VA loan, that maybe gets overlooked, especially in high price point areas, right? And totally. I know a lot has changed since you first started over a decade ago, right? Like now there's you can get a VA loan on almost anything now, right? Like the loan limits are gone, right? I know some lenders have overlays and other things like that, and of course you have to qualify debt to income ratio. But I think it's a great tool that is underutilized, and it's just great to see someone like yourself go out and you're helping in more than just one way too, right? Now you've got this team of several agents, and many of them have had ties in the military, either themselves or through a spouse, right? So you're helping military people or people in that community with careers, right? To have meaningful careers, but you're also helping the people that you originally sought out to.
And that's been the best part, actually. It's the career part. When you transition out of the military and you want to become an agent, how do you do it? Most people don't really know, right? You go from a salary, comfortable position to now you're on, commission based. You got to find your clients. How do you do that? And when you can actually see a military member become successful in real estate from their military career and use all the tools that they've learned from, just discipline, time management, attention to detail, and then obviously leadership to bring that into a new skill set. It's been one of the more rewarding pieces. I mean, I brought agents who have literally done, 0 transactions to almost doing 30 in 1 year, just really growing in their careers and their development. So that's been super rewarding, not just seeing families get into homes and seeing their home ownership dreams come true, but developing people's careers. I mean, that's been beyond rewarding. So yeah, I mean, you know what that's like, obviously, as well, which is one of the things that has been amazing to collaborate with like-minded people, right? Developing others.
Well, let's talk about, I think, for a second, what makes the average military person actually well suited for the real estate career, right? The real estate agent industry. I think a lot of times the challenge in this industry for people is you don't have a boss in a traditional sense, or someone, making you clock in and clock out and et cetera, right? Like you're kind of have responsibility for yourself, and there are actions you have to take daily in order to succeed, right? You have to spend time on marketing, you have to spend time on prospecting, you have to spend time on follow-up, and if you do these things consistently, the good news is, you'll crush it. You'll be in the top 10%, maybe even higher, just for doing the basics daily. The bad news is most people that get into it a lot, if you just look at the numbers, a lot of them don't have that discipline. And I think probably more than anything, this is what I think makes the average military person great in this career, is they have the discipline to do the basics. And if you have the discipline to do the basics, you're going to succeed at the highest levels in real.
100%. I mean, I'm right there with you. I agree on that. And that's where, when you have the foundational skill sets just in place on day one, from there, you're refining your tools, right? I mean, from learning contracts, learning the legalities of real estate, learning what it is from the appraisal side, learning the lender piece. I mean, when you come to the table with the solid foundation of time management, and just the discipline to do the basics, I mean, man, you become a so-called lethal weapon in the real estate world, right? Not just now from the soldier world into the real estate sector.
What do you think you learned, or what kind of challenges did you face, being licensed in different states and actually different countries, and how was working real estate in Colorado and Canada different than California? Most people, probably 99% of real estate agents have only done it in like one area. So talk a little bit about that for a minute.
One of the biggest ones is getting to know the culture, the areas, the people, the dynamic of real estate. The biggest change obviously would be Canadian real estate versus, I'll just say California real estate. The way they do and I was specifically in Alberta, which is Calgary. Just figuring out how to get your license transferred. That's one of the reasons why Colorado, when I say that, believe it or not, in the United States, having a broker license or a real estate license in Colorado gets you most reciprocity to any other state and or country. So that's why Colorado was there, was because Colorado gave me the reciprocity into Calgary. So just kind of learning the different laws, right, of how you make that jump without having to redo all the Canadian classes was step one. Just learning how the U.S. and Canada can work together was kind of fun. But then when you get in there, I mean, I'll tell you, my biggest one as well was doing real estate in snow and blizzards. That was quite different for me from my California world. But realistically, it's just the way their cities and their towns and the local cultures and the way they do real estate are different, different. Their commission splits are different. The way the local communities kind of just basically oil and gas, for example, is the big thing in Canada, right? So everything revolves in Canada, Calgary, around oil and gas. California here, you're always talking about tech, Silicon Valley, right? So just kind of learning the vernaculars of what's important to the families in the areas, right? Why do they want a home? What makes it important for their foundation and their stability? So that was one of my biggest changes, is just getting to know the different communities and to understand the cultures. And I think that's kind of true in every little community in a way.
How long were you working in Canada?
I did 4 years of real estate there, and I was actually on the Shiloh Story team. That was one of the other things that I've always believed in real estate is you're not a solo player. I like to be part of teams. Whether it's in the military or in the civilian sector, that was one of the ways that I've been able to find success is through collaboration. And when you find the right people to do that with, you're stronger, and then they embrace you into their community, and you grow and learn from them. So that's one of the biggest things I think is finding groups and teams to make you stronger. Right?
And what made you, I guess, have the idea to come back to California and start G.I. Joe Homes after that experience?
Well, the idea sort of was I ended up unfortunately going through a divorce, and I met the way I made it to Canada. I was actually at the Naval Post Grad School, and I met my first wife at Stanford. So she was a psychologist, and her license was up there. So that brought me up north. And again, going through the immigration process and starting to just realize you're in a new community. It's kind of nice that real estate actually transcends national borders, right? People need homes. And so what ended up bringing me back to California was obviously I had a life change, different divorce, moved back to my hometown here in Northern California, still had a license here, and moved right back into doing luxury, right? So my mentor here in the Bay Area, near my hometown, he's focusing on homes that are probably 2.5 million, well, you name it, up. And as I got back into that world, I liked it. I just didn't find it necessarily as rewarding. And so when I came back, I realized, all these years from day one of wanting to work with military and my fellow veterans, why don't I just do it? Don't wait around for it. And that was kind of where my focus started to go, and just took the leap and founded the brokerage and moved forward and wanted to put a real high quality team together, right? I was a surface warfare officer, but had the privilege of working with a lot of Seals and SWCC. And small groups that are high functioning was kind of the ideal. And that's what I was able to put together at G.I. Joe Homes. I was actually in law school at the time when I created the brokerage, and I wanted to do better, right? Specialty real estate. Whether you're luxury, whether you're in geriatrics or older real estate, but VA was where I wanted to be at, and so that kind of helped propel me into that world. And I haven't looked back since. And then once you dive into it, it's just rewarding, as we just talked about. So that's kind of how, when you get to see those as well, you take lessons from where you were in Canada, you take lessons from Colorado, you take lessons from California, and it just makes you a better professional.
What's the growth of G.I. Joe Homes been like since you started it?
Pretty aggressive. So when I say pretty aggressive, year one, I founded this in December of 2019. So we really got going right in 2020. In fact, our first listing was $3.5 million in San Carlos for a veteran, and it was during the start of the pandemic. It was right there. So that year we did 6. Second year we were at 49. Last year we were right around 60 transactions. So 2.5 years we've done about 100 million in volume. 125 transactions and about 2.23 million in GCI. So pretty good for a pretty short ramp up from, especially during a pandemic, then maybe the hottest real estate market of all time, now back into kind of maybe more neutral-ish. And that was hold to see if the model would actually work in NorCal, and it does.
And you expanded down south, right, as well?
We did, and that was
Yeah.
I brought a Submariner on, a fellow bubblehead as yourself. He was our broker down there, and he still is on our team, doing great. Roger, 30 years experience, just a consummate professional. He's right down in San Diego now, and he's been with us, about a month, and he's got about 20 clients now. I mean, again, it works, right? San Diego is to me kind of one of is one of the hotbeds in the country for VA. So he's got a whole different dynamic to deal with than I do up here in NorCal. Where here you have one or two bases. Down there, I mean, you're just, you're in Pacific Fleet. So different worlds to help with him to kind of grow and get his feet under him. But he's been great so far, so it's been really rewarding for him.
And you just made a pretty big transition with your team, your agents, your overall business plan. Why don't you let us in on that?
That's the biggest thing. We're stoked. Having the ability to have my Naval Academy network, such as you and Carrie, was gigantic. I've been sitting there for years trying to figure out how to expand this. In San Diego, it took 2.5 years to get down there. And, as an independent broker, one of the big challenges is, you're managing, especially myself, transactions. You're trying to bring on people with training. You're really trying to do everything, as you know, in real estate, whether it's marketing, training, expanding your base. And then you approached me, and I approached you. I think from our mutual contact, Dan Chapman, actually, is how we ended up reuniting. And EXP has been a absolute, I don't know how you want to say it, godsend to our brokerage, right? Coming over, now from an expansion standpoint, having the ability to work with fellow military members across the country on day one is like nothing I've been able to do before, especially from a virtual brokerage. Joining EXP now as a virtual brokerage, first ever. I had interviewed a couple different big firms, were interested, let's just say, and they all talked about technology, and I've heard that a lot as well. We do technology, and it's funny. Some folks in real estate, I fully think email and or recreating the MLS is technology, and no shock to them necessarily, but when I saw the model from EXP, not only from revenue share, publicly traded, but and those were, I was ecstatic about that, because now I can grow a team, we can all collaborate and really bring value to military. Whether it's a transitioning military member, a spouse, they have the opportunity where the sky's the limit, which I would never be able to bring to them. It just wasn't going to be possible. And stepping outside of that box and having a partnership with you and Carrie, and then Tim and Julie Harris, it's blown my mind, quite frankly, at how I would say fortunate we are to have had that partnership, and to really now see a vision that before had had boundaries around it, I would say, right? California was my boundary in a lot of ways. Not that we couldn't have referral networks, but now we can really go to work where I did not have that opportunity before. So that our partnership with EXP and Libertas and the Legacy team, it's unbelievable for us. So that's been a huge benefit for us, and quite frankly, I'll say it, a relief. And back to that technology piece, when you step into EXP world, if you aren't blown away, that is true technology. Let me just say it. It's taken real estate and transcends, like kind of I have before, states and countries. And now you have the ability to do that. That's been mind-opening and mind just enlightening to me on what I can bring to not our team, but to others. So it's been an amazing experience so far.
Well, it's been certainly great to have another Naval Academy classmate partnered with at EXP, and to know that you're going to be able to take this to other veterans and just people everywhere. And I think one of the unique things about hearing your perspective is you know what it takes to run an independent brokerage. You know what it takes to go get licensed in another state. And quite frankly, you know what it takes to go get licensed in another country.
Yep.
Most people don't have that perspective, haven't done it, and it's like 100 hours of work at minimum to go into just to get licensed in another state, let alone another country. So it does take a lot to expand, and Carrie and I certainly went through that when we opened. We had our independent brokerage in the DC area, 3 states, DC, Maryland, Virginia, and then opened in Florida, and it takes a lot. And with the EXP platform, you have 24 different countries. You have 50 states, which they're the only, I think, as we record this podcast, I think they're the only digital cloud brokerage that is in all 50 states. And you have that from day one, and it's super, super easy to expand and partner with people like you. And I do like what you said about the tech. Like, the EXP technology is great. I think a lot of the companies and firms out there that they overemphasize what they have, and a lot of let's face it, you can run your business as a real estate agent off the shelf, right? Like, technology off the shelf. It's all there. The CRMs are there, the email systems are there, dialer systems are there, marketing systems, like all of that is available anywhere. Like, I would argue that no real estate brokerage has a technology system to run a real estate business that is proprietary. I would say on the brokerage side of it, EXP has got an advantage because, like, you can go meet with your broker in EXP world. You can go to trainings in EXP world. But the bottom line is the stuff you need to run your business is available anywhere. So why not be somewhere that's going to give you low commission caps, let you keep more of your money,
Totally.
Give you this platform for expansion, and by the way, benefit you through stock awards, revenue share, and all that. And oh, by the way, you get to plug into like coaching and training and all this other stuff.
It's and that's the part that's been unreal. With my team, one of our challenges was onboarding people. Right? You get a new agent, and whether they have a swim buddy or another agent, that was their training for the most part, right? Like, come along, do a ride along. Now with your coaching platform and having the downstream of again others that have developed amazing platforms as well, we get the benefit of that. And now we bring on people, and here, by the way, it's not just us. We're not in this isolated world, right? It's open doors that will make us better professionals overall. And that, to me, was the most important thing. I didn't want to isolate my team into just what we had. And to your point, on-the-box technology is there. I didn't want that. I wanted better. And that's what we found. I mean, there's so many pieces to what EXP brings to the table. And again, it's not just EXP. I'll say the people that are there is what's doing it as well. That, to me, I mean, without you, Carrie, and then even Tim and Julie, I mean, having that availability along with it, I mean, it's unreal.
Well, I'm excited to see where you're going to take this, and I know your mission, your goal is to help as many military people as you can across the country to really build an amazing career and business through real estate, and any agent out there for that matter, right? But I know you have a specific passion for the men and women who've served our country. If people are interested in learning more about joining you at EXP, in all 50 states, 24 countries, how should they get in touch with you? How should they let you know they're interested?
They can come to us at gijohomes.com. You can call me direct, 650-400-7330, joe@gijohomes.com. I also have a new Instagram, LinkedIn. I mean, however you want to find me, Joe Knipp. I will be available, and I'll always pick up.
All right. Well, definitely reach out to Joe if you are interested in learning, more about what he has to offer at EXP. Joe, before we wrap up, I always like to do a HyperFast round. If you're ready for a couple rapid fire questions here.
Do it.
All right. What's your biggest piece of advice to a new real estate agent?
Biggest piece of advice is every day, wake up with your plan set. Don't let your day run you, run your day.
All right. What's the biggest mistake you see successful real estate agents making?
Not spending enough time with a balanced life.
What's something you think is going to be important for real estate agents in 2023 that was not as important before?
I think the biggest thing right now in 2023 is growing and extending your network. And when I say network, I'm not talking about other real estate providers. I'm saying growing your network within lender communities, appraiser communities, really digging in and expanding so that you're finding new opportunities as our market has been, I would say, very fluctuating from highs to lows. Build your network so you can find clients that are best qualified.
What's something outside of real estate that you're passionate about?
Horses. I actually own a saddlery as well, so my wife and I do a ton in the horse industry.
All right, last question. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
5 years from now, I will hopefully 2,200 agents under my belt, all with military or not. The G.I. Joe Homes team will have a presence in, I would hope, half or more of the states, and ultimately able to continue the G.I. Joe Homes brand on a national and maybe even, national level for sure. That's where I hope to be. 2028 would be a home run.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show today, Joe. One more time, if people want to connect with you, best way for them to do that?
Joe@gijohomes.com, or just give me a call, 650-400-7330. Hit me up anytime.
All right, Joe. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. To all of our listeners and viewers, thank you for tuning in. Please share this episode with other people that you think would benefit from watching or listening, and we will see you next time.
Thank you all. Thanks, Dan.